The Pretty series has never shied away from commentary. Pretty Rhythm had a lot to say about family, Prepara had a lot to say about belonging, and Pre-chan was an event. Watcha Primagi has some pretty strong opinions too. The show's characters tread the line between who they want to be for themselves and who they feel they should be for others. Two major characters, Miruki and Amane, are wrapped up in such high-level deception that it's hard to fully unravel them. In other shows for this demographic, this might lead to an arc where the two learn to express their honest feelings, and we get to see their real selves. But Primagi doubles down and implies that both versions of these characters are just as real. These are complex girls with contradictory traits, but by the end I came to love each of them. So what does it mean to be yourself? And is it something worth doing? Let's discuss this through Watcha Primagi. If you'd like to support me as a creator, feel free to join the Patreon. There's a free membership tier as well as a $1 tier. For this video, I'd like to thank our first patron, Gabrielle. There's a link in the description for anyone who'd like to join the Patreon, with benefits such as early video releases, more previews, and general updates about what I'm doing behind the scenes. With that said, let's get right back into the video. When we first hear of Miruki, it's through our main character, Matsuri. She describes her as a cute idol who wears pastel fashion. This, paired with her design, leaves a pretty strong impression. She might remind viewers of Pre-chan's Maria, a hyper-feminine sweet girl, or based on her voice actress, a cute girl like Kasumi. Matsuri sees Miruki as a sweet girl who can do no wrong, and this impression is immediately challenged. In episode 2, Miruki lies to staff, lies to her fans, and comes off as shallow and entitled. She then spends the rest of the season bitterly envying the main cast and slowly reckoning with her latent self-hate. Miruki is a deeply tragic character. Despite her efforts to play up a cute persona, the mask slips pretty early. The first thing she does on this show is to lie. Matsuri attends one of her concerts and Miruki doesn't show up. According to staff, she's stuck in traffic due to a loose bull. And yet, there she is, citing a lack of boys and watcha, which is basically crowd energy. When Matsuri agrees to perform in her place, Miruki demands the reward, her new card. It's so entitled and yet it almost works. Matsuri is swooned. Miruki's charm is so effective that it's hard not to see why she's like this. Miruki uses charm to work through all of her problems. She keeps her nasty thoughts to herself and works the crowd. And is that so bad? Well, depends on who you ask. It's not directly stated, but Miruki doesn't think much of other people. In episode 5, she gives Matsuri bad advice at a photo shoot and laughs to herself about how gullible she is. Later on, when the girls are deciding who should perform, Miruki lies to garner sympathy. She gives a phony speech about feeling insecure, and this is a really big deal. In shows like this, opening up about insecurity is always treated as a serious, honest moment. This is when you slow down and pause the music. This is the sunset scene with a piano track. And yet here, Miruki just laughs. She doesn't care. The kind of earnest feelings we're used to seeing are nothing but a joke to her. It just felt wrong. Miruki's lie is pitiful, and it reveals her insecurity. It's telling that she doesn't participate in the show's first tournament. Unlike Matsuri, who has a genuine love for Primagi, or the passionate Hina, Miruki has nothing at this point. Yet it was by the end of this first arc that I knew she would be my favorite character. The second arc of Watcha Primagi follows the girls training to attain a new chord. It is one of the slowest drags of the season. Its only saving grace is the Miruki trial episode, which gives us insight into how well she's fooling the rest. Up until now, I've implied that Miruki's ruse has been successful, but that's not entirely true. In fact, one character sees right through her, from the very start. Miyamu is a magical cat and Matsuri's partner for the Primagi. She grew up rather lonely and covers up that insecurity with overconfidence. While Miruki chose charm, Miyamu chose overconfidence. I believe that this is why she's the first to see who Miruki really is behind the mask. The two girls are one and the same. In a bid to be the center for a group song, Miruki begins to charm the other girls into choosing her. After a morning of her antics, Miyamu finally calls her out. And so begins the Miruki Trials, one of the most fun yet dumb episodes of Primagi. When accused of faking her cuteness, Miruki finally cracks. Miyamu demands that she be herself, but for Miruki, that isn't so easy. In the past, Miruki was a regular girl with black hair and black eyes, a complete nobody in this candy-colored world. At her father's grocery stand, she looked over the unchosen produce. Despite it working just as hard to grow, there it is, sad and unpicked. It was just as delicious, nutrient-rich, but that didn't matter. Nobody cared what was inside. Feeling discouraged, Miruki decided to get a makeover, turning into the cute girl we all know and love. Miruki's past is so effective because it's real. It's relatable, not just to the young audience, but to anyone who's watching. Before she debuts her new look, she briefly psychs herself up, and this line feels important. Was it the makeover that gave her confidence? Or was it this? Did she have this potential all along? The second arc leaves us with several important questions, but the main one would be, who is the real Miruki? The insecure girl, bitter and jealous, or the cute and pastel idol? And how authentic can either version be?
ブライトネスエレメンツのルークスとダークネスエレメンツのアーテル。我らは選んだ。
Throughout the season, the girls have been collecting special cards, containing element chords. For each of these, the character chosen fits thematically. Hina's got fiery passion, Amane's still on the surface but full of depth, and Auru's spark represents her technological innovation. So what about the newest pair, light and dark? These elements appear as a pair, tying their chosen characters together. The girls chosen are Miruki and Lemon. Looking back, Lemon is the perfect foil for Miruki. Lemon is Miruki's exact opposite. While Miruki adores the spotlight, Lemon is subdued by it. She's reclusive and insecure to a fault. Miruki is a master of charm, while Lemon is socially awkward. While Miruki buries her insecurities, Lemon bears them with no shame. The character writing in this season is so dense that even near the end, we're still seeing new angles to these girls. So what do these elements mean for each character? For Lemon, it's fairly simple. She retreats to the darkness. She's drawn to it. Lemon is introduced to us hiding in the night. She avoids social interaction. She's overwhelmed by it. If Lemon is darkness, then what is Miruki's light?
あなたは誰? Amauri Miruki. あなたを見ているのは誰? 世界中?
Miruki's final character episode seeks to tie up all these loose threads into a satisfying end. For her final hurdle, Miruki is offered what she's always wanted. The final arc of Primagi follows the girls upgrading their element chords into their heaven forms. This requires mutual understanding between the element and the girl. This is when we meet Lux. The light spirit was quite a surprise to me. He's a young man who's just as vain as Miruki. The two are practically the same. When she asks him to unlock her heaven form, he agrees immediately. But on one condition, that Miruki go back to her old appearance. This is a pretty big ask considering how much her new look helped her. Miruki's past showed us that she was a pretty sad and lonely girl. But with a new look, she finally had the courage to be the cute self she knew she could be. And yet, I think those feelings lingered. Miruki is still bitter and insecure. that never really went anywhere. I think a lot of those feelings stem from her past, but she got cuter, covered it up. On a deeper level, this is a choice between the sad and bitter reality she was born into and the bright future she made. When Lux posts a picture of Miruki's old self, she's shocked to see that most people like it. This is her greatest temptation. Her whole life, all she's wanted was for people to look at her. And here it is, social approval. Lux tempts Miruki with what she's been after her whole life. Thematically, I believe the light element in Primagi symbolizes attention, love, the spotlight, vanity. Miruki desires the world's adoration. It's in the speech she gives before every performance. She'll do anything to put herself center stage. And this is why she's Lemon's elemental opposite. Miruki wants to be noticed. She wants to be the light. And that's what makes this such a good episode. Miruki must choose between what she's always wanted and who she became to get there. Early on, Miruki was pretty jealous of our main character, Matsuri. Matsuri is a mature, optimistic, and lucky girl. She's got a great personality and is pretty likable. Miruki feels that for Matsuri, liking herself must be easy. She was born for this. But Miruki wasn't so lucky. From her background to her looks and personality, she's not cut out for this show. And that's why being herself is so hard for Miruki. Rather than accepting what came naturally, Miruki chose to reinvent herself. Her new look came with a whole new personality. Her ditzy act is at complete odds with her rural background, and these are details that she's keen to hide. What matters is not that Miruki is authentic, but that Miruki is happy. In Matsuri's words, be the version of you that makes you happy. The true Miruki doesn't exist. Miruki is a liar. Miruki is a facade, and Miruki is the light. Despite the effort it takes to keep up appearances, if this is what makes Miruki happy, then that's who she should be. In her own words, being cute is my own form of magic. I've been obsessed with Miruki for over a year now, so I'm glad I was finally able to put my thoughts to words. I think she's a really radical take on a popular story trope. Miruki is a girl who tries very hard to be something she's not, and yet through that effort she finds happiness. We are who we pretend to be. Alongside Jennifer and Amane, she's one of the standouts in the cast. No matter what may come, Miruki will always have left her mark on the Pretty series. This is the first of one of many Pretty series essays I want to work on. I think there's so much about this franchise that goes unappreciated, so I hope you guys will take time to explore this with me. I also have a few more plans for Aikatsu, but that will take some time to get to. Let's look forward to this next month of content together, and I will see you guys in my next video.